Ask me anything. What up, people? Can you guys hear me just fine? I do think it's happening this week. Over the course of this live stream, I got an Excel page here. I'm going to do a GME historical look back of the 2 weeks before the squeeze. And then I'm going to do an AMC look back of the 3 weeks before the squeeze. And then I'm going to do a MULN look back of the 4 weeks before the squeeze. And what we're going to see is, in my opinion, that the GME volatility of the stock price for 2 weeks was equivalent in up and down percentage changes as AMC for 2 weeks. But then AMC had a whole nother week where it went up a bunch and then came down a bunch, and then it squoze. So GME was like a 2 week build up to a squeeze. AMC was a 3 week build up to a squeeze. And then MULN copied exactly what those 3 weeks did of AMC. And then this 4th week, we had an extra mega dip where we went from a high of $1.71 last week down to $1 this week, down to 90 cents actually. I said we were going to go up 20%, and then we might close between 10 and 20%. We ended up closing at 6%, and the low was 90 cents. We closed at $1.08, which was 20% up, so that's kind of cool. But, I mean, anything's possible. It could take one more week. But if we look at the numbers, if we look at the manipulation, it would say that they've already dragged this a whole nother week past the AMC portion. And AMC was a week longer than the GME one, and they're all just tracking the same numbers, and so I'm super bullish for this next week. I'm so bullish. Alrighty, they got no dilution left, people. Ortex, a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, they announced that the free float was 442 million. This is the first time in the last 4 months since we've gotten 5 dilution announcements that we have gotten a change in the float of an increase from 407 million to 447 million, and without a dilution update from MULN Automotive, which tells me that so a couple things actually. So first off, we go from 407 to 442 or 447 million, I don't remember. It was 440 something. And because they didn't give a dilution announcement, that tells me that the insiders were trading their shares. And when I say insiders, I mean like institutionals, because like David Mickery selling 300,000 shares, that's nothing. It's literally just to scare people. Oh, insider selling, I shouldn't buy type thing. But beyond that, like, it's such an insignificant number. It has nothing to do with the story. They just use it as FUD. But basically, the banks, the people that have been buying that don't count as the free float, because there's like, you got the free float, and then you got like hedge funds and stuff. They count as part of the free float. But then you got like institutional buyers, Wells Fargo, Chase, and these different people, and they count as institutional buyers. And then you have the insider shares, which is like CEO, Mickery, all of them people, and they are the insiders. So you have 3 different buckets that they separate the data within. And so the only reason that they would tell you that the free float has gone down when we know that nobody sold, like if we didn't sell back in freaking April when we went from 418 all the way down to $2 and we only bought more and more and more, we know we didn't sell now. So that's just stupid talk. But the only reason they would actually want to do it is because so let's just do this math real quick. So if there was, I think it got up to 13% short interest when it was at 442 million shares. Let's say that. Oops. So if we take 442 million, oh, I shouldn't have added that in. Bear with me, people. It's been a minute since I used Excel. So if they got 442 million shares and it's at 13%, then that means there's 57 million shares approximately short. Now, I think there was more than this because Ortex is a self-reported data from the insiders, and they give themselves a 2-day update. So basically, if it's Monday, whatever happened on Monday, you should expect that data Thursday morning. And so 48 straight hours, and then boom, you should start getting the updated data. But they don't have to wait 48 hours. So they can use that window to create a bunch of short interest to manipulate a stock, and then cover the short interest, and then report 2 days later of the new covered short interest that was only a day ago. And so it looks like the short interest never even went up. And that's how they suppress buying power when it comes in. And all it is, like the order book is what controls the price of the stock. And as long as there's more buyers than sellers, or more sellers than buyers, then the price just won't move up. And they can control that price. And so when a lot of volume comes in, they let it move up, so they give the least amount of shares, and then they start shorting the stock, or they're starting to dilute to withstand our buying pressure. We've had massive buying pressure in the last 4 months, and it's only getting better. And so if we look at, like, basically this was like a week ago, so this was 1 week ago, and then today, so basically on Friday, they updated this, and they said the free float is now 370 million, and the approximate short interest is 12%. So if we take this week's, basically the short interest has dropped somewhere between, and like if you count that little 48-hour period where I tell you they add a bunch of shorts and then they take them away, if you count somewhere between 10 to 20 million shares that they covered on Friday, and because the change in the float and the short interest percent didn't change, and so everyone sees the short interest percent and says, oh, there's no short interest, it can't squeeze. Well, we're squeezing because eventually retail owns every single share, and there are literally no shares left to sell. And the only thing they can do to keep the price down is to add short positions, and they can only do that up to 100% of the float. Because if we own every share, so if we own 5 million shares and they own 10 million shares, David Mickery keeps his 7 million or whatever, then basically they can short 507 million shares. And so we could build all the way up to there, but like if we look at every squeeze in the past, like after they like do all the manipulation to get it right to the squeeze, they don't add a bunch of short interest because that would just crush them and it would make them lose a ton of money 1 week later. There's absolutely no incentive for them to do that. And if they happen to have, like if they say, oh, those July 15th expirations are so crazy, we have the incentive to do it, who cares? You own 100% of the float and they expire the July 15th options worthless, but then there's 100% short interest on the stock again. That just means it's going to $100, $200, $500, $1,000 a share. So throw in $100 on the call options and you're going to make $1 million. Like that's how stupid it would be. So who freaking cares, people? Like I pray they freaking add this to 100% short interest before July 15th, even though all my options expire in July 15th. Here's my position right now. Nobody's got a bigger position than me. I got almost 20,000 option contracts, which represents 2 million shares, and they all expire July 15th, and I bought half of them all in the last 3 days. All in the last 3 trading days. You think I'm fucking worried? I'm not worried. Holy moly. Peter Lynch, you sound like a fucking bitch. We're going to $20 this week or next week. Shut the fuck up. You sound like a fucking bitch. Grow some balls. My God. I hate the way you talk. Castro4203 says, why don't you think that MULN hasn't announced dilution yet? Bro, they announced dilution weeks after they diluted every single time. They never just dilute and announce the same day. They dilute and then they wait a week and then they give it to you. But they spent the last 3 weeks diluting. So from February 20th all the way to March 14th, they diluted 140 million shares to retail. They told us March 17th. But that means for 4 weeks they were diluting and we didn't know about it. They didn't tell us about it. I knew about it. I was telling people we were going to get a dilution announcement right away. And so every time that they've done dilution, there was one time it was 1.3 billion shares traded. Then there was a time where it was 2.5 billion shares traded. Then there was a time where there was 900 million shares traded. Then there was a time where there was 1.2 billion shares traded. Then there was a time there was 1.3 billion shares traded. And right now we are at 1.3 billion shares traded over a month, which again is about as long as they wait to announce their dilution. So we're getting the final announcement. Again, I think it's this Tuesday. If it happens on Monday, you won't see me crying. I got 2 weeks left on my expiration for 90% of my calls. I ain't worried. Thank you, brother. My boy from London. I'd probably have 200 or 300 people watching right now if they didn't delete my Twitter. Let's see if we can't get some people in here. Alrighty. I might be able to pull up another $20,000 if we don't squeeze by July 15th. I'd definitely buy more, but I won't have nearly as big a position as I have now. I'm basically all in on July 15th, people. And like that $20,000 is not my $20,000. That's somebody else that's already invested that said they'll throw in more if for whatever reason this doesn't happen. I tried going live on, I think it was Thursday, and I went live and in 7 minutes my whole site just crashed down. And then I tried to go live right away again, and 30 minutes later they crashed my site again. And so, I mean, I've done thousands of hours of live and that's never happened. So I don't know what's going on, but we'll see if it works this time. Anyone that's hating on MULN right now knows that MULN's about to squeeze, and they literally are getting paid to change the story, to talk about other stuff, to push Redbox, to push GameStop, to push AMC. They all know MULN's about to squeeze, and their literal job, they get paid money to go on social media and try to distract people from it. All right, so that whole holding 10% for MULN thing, that's out the window. I'm going deep into MULN. I'm trying to send MULN to $10,000 a share. I mean that literally. And so when I'm using my call options and my put options, I'm using profits to buy stock. And I'm expecting my YouTube channel to get 10,000 viewers when we're actually squeezing during the MULN squeeze and I'm live streaming. And people are seeing my account grow from, it claims 40,000, but it's actually like $120,000 invested into 20 million, 50 million, $100 million. And I'm expecting more and more people to show up and see that I'm making money. I mean, at first it'll be like a day here, a day there, a day there, make tons and tons of money. But then after that, well, first it's going to squeeze up. And for 3 or 4 days, we're going to run all the way to 20. And that's when I'm going to make $20 to $50 million. But then I'm going to be looking for those patterns to buy puts, and I'm going to be entering in at the right time and closing at the right time, all within a day likely, and hopefully I hit it 2 or 3 times. And each time I do it, I'm hoping to 5x my money, and I'm going to have tens of millions of dollars loaded up in those put positions. And I'm hoping that gets me to hundreds of millions of dollars, because I mean, when I, like, during the AMC squeeze, it squoze, and then it crashed, and I called the crash, and it crashed all in one single day. I think it was 40%, and I turned $10,000 into $76,000. And so if that was $10 million, maybe it could have been $76 million. It is my belief that options are infinitely liquid until, if you are willing to trade at the ask and bid price. And we're about to test that theory. Let's see what happens. All right, later, Peter Lynch. You're a bitch. I don't need you in my life. I am literally Jesus Christ. I give you guys everything I have. I've shown you, like, if you're not willing to take the time, take the attention span to watch my past videos and then come in here on my live streams and ask stupid ass questions, even though I answered them, like, just stay the fuck out of here. I don't need you in my life. I'm here for the people that want to listen. I got answers. You can ask me anything about anything. I got answers. $200 million will get us started. Next 200 million volume day we see, we will hit 100% ROI or more. And that, I mean, there's no reason it's not Tuesday. There's no reason it's not Tuesday. All we need is 200 million coming in. That'll represent probably about 40 or 50 million retail. And there is absolutely no reason it's not coming on Tuesday. Let's see. Oh, my people. You guys don't understand. Mullen is the lifting of the veil. Everyone should have learned how this world works back in the GME AMC days, but they're all non-believers, and so it takes a second time. I guess you can call it a third time, fourth time for me, and the world will know. The world will know that they have the power and that they no longer have to listen to their governments. They no longer have to listen to anybody, and that they can grant all one person power to shut the noise up. All that shit that's designed to distract you and manipulate you and keep you poor and keep you stupid. All it takes is one person to shut it all up. I promise. Mullen to the moon, baby. Alrighty. You guys not even... I'm surprised nobody called in yet. You guys quiet today. I thought there'd be more viewers, honestly. Like, my last video only had like 1,800 views. And then, just from last night to today, it got like 300 or 400 views. So I thought there'd be a lot of people on today looking for questions. But maybe everyone's got their questions answered already. And they're all just chilling, enjoying their vacation weekend. Good news to come. But I thought we'd have 300 people here, and I thought we'd be getting phone calls. Oh well. Back when when I was streaming on Thursday, I got like 170 people. But I also had Twitter back then. exercising calls would help the squeeze. And so you got to ask yourself this, because like basically it comes down to one thing. Do you think yourself so incompetent that you can't follow along and do trades with me? Like even if you're doing just stock and you're not trading options, you can, when I buy puts, you can sell a large portion of your stock, wait to see my puts print, and then when I sell my puts and I go buy a crap ton of stock, I'm going to buy stock and call options. Like that's when you, whatever you took out, you throw back in. And now you got twice as many shares, maybe 1.5 times as many shares. And then it runs up again. And then I reload into my puts position eventually. And that's when you take a big chunk and you sell it. We go and we hit my puts. And then you buy back in and you get 1.5 times as many shares. Because there's going to be a lot of people that sell and walk away. And we got to have a plan to come and be able to buy there for us. And so if you think you can't handle any of that, and that just sounds like mind-boggling to you, then yes, go ahead and exercise your calls, turn them into stock, and just ride it out. Ride the ups and the downs out, and let's see how high we can take this. But if you're not incompetent, and you can watch a live stream and see me make a trade, you're going to have an hour to make that trade. Like, the market doesn't move in 1 second up and down. It moves up for 4 hours and then crashes in 2 hours. It moves up for a day, 3 days, 4 days, and then crashes for 2 or 3 days. Like, it's not all one time, people. Well, Robert Rail, it does not surprise me YouTube did not notify you. I am banned on every other social media. Reddit, Twitter, all of it. What up, Hermes? Minicast, they freaking banned me from Twitter, but they didn't tell me what rule I broke. They didn't send me the tweet that broke the rule. I call bullcrap. Every time I've ever had an account banned on Twitter, they always say, this is why you got banned. But this time, they just banned me and didn't send me a fucking message about it. Lame ass. Nothing you can do but wait, Marco. I believe we hit next week. It could be the week after, but I do believe it's before July 15th. Place your bets, people. Follow who you trust. Plenty of people talking on Mullen. No one talking like me, though. Of course it's a good idea to tell my enemy my plan. Especially when I go to war. Because I'm going to prove that you can do nothing to stop me. That is what I'm confident the stock market is. It is retail power and fucking the market makers, the government, they can do nothing to stop us. Unless they turn off the whole goddamn market and nobody makes free game money no more. And now you only make money when you work. Or when a bunch of people give it to you, like a church. And we'll see who does best with their money. They can do nothing to stop what's coming. Mullen is coming and it is inevitable. Shut up. The CEO has sold less than 5% of his shares since 4 months ago when this all started. Get out of here with that crap. They only have him sell a little bit of shares so that they can send a bunch of people out on the retard social medias and say, hey, the CEO's selling. You don't want to buy. That's it. There's nothing else to it. He doesn't need the money. He's just doing it so the fucking fudsters can go out and talk some bullshit. Just Another Ape is banned from the site. He is a fudster being paid to talk like a retard. We got retards in the chat. And rule number 1 of God Pill is no shills in the chat, bitch. Goddamn retards. No shills in the chat. I banned you, Tormato. You got too many opinions on too many things that just sound negative. There's always just one comment that just, like when somebody posts something, you just always got one freaking little bitchy comment, and I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. Nobody's more bullish on Mullen than me. Half these contracts were bought last week. Danny Ho knows. Danny Ho knows we rocking on Tuesday. Thank you, Kevin Rochan. I appreciate that. We going to the moon. $20 is the moon. I mean, $30 is really the moon. $30 is a greater ROI than the GME squeeze. And so $30 is money. But at 20, I'm already making a fortune, so it don't matter. And then if we go to $1,000 to $10,000 a share, that means the S&P 500 is going to be probably around 500 to 1,000, and the whole world's going to have to wake the fuck up, find out what just happened. We'll see what happens. Either way, we all get rich, we all cash a nice bag, and we'll see what happens after that. If there's no other avenue for me to destroy the machine without squeezing another stock after Mullen, maybe that's what I'll do. But I'm going to try to make Mullen the MOAS. If I don't make it the MOAS, then I'll try to do something else. I'll just take my money and just start building. Welcome to the God Pill live stream. How can I help you?
Your show and
Oh, how much you got in AMC right now? Little bitch. AMC sucks. AMC's going to $5. AMC sucks. Just so you guys understand, AMC at $5 is the same thing as AMC at $36 back in 2016 when it had its old high. Because of the number of shares they diluted, the market cap would be the same. AMC's going to $5, you little puss. Callie Foreman says, how much have I lost in Mullen options? In March, it was probably 25 grand. In April, it was 25 grand. In May, it was probably 35 grand. In June, it was like 5 grand. And then I just started loading I bought it in May, I bought a couple Junes, but I've mostly been loading in July since May. The end of May, I've been loading in July. And right now I got like 120 grand in July. And again, guys, this ain't my money. This is just money of people that know I know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is a dozen different people sending me money right now. How do you think the media will cover this when it starts to move? Will they say it's moving because whatever PR is released, or will they acknowledge it's retail owning the float? Well, that's a great question. And so basically, if we win and we get this to $1,000 to $10,000 a share, like there'll be no denying it. Though, like it will be an acknowledgement, and it will be great. Like it will be them accepting defeat is what it will be, and I believe that acknowledgement will be accepted by me. Like my end goal with all this is I'm going to be governor of Arizona. I'm going to secede the state from the United States of America. I'm going to rename Arizona Zion, and we are going to rebuild the country on perfect laws that are designed to make people retire as early as possible by producing as much benefit to society as possible in the shortest amount of time. And we will be richer, wealthier, and happier than any other groups of people on the entire planet. And eventually, other countries will step in line and see that there's only one way to live, and it's not government. The other story is potentially we only hit $20, $30, $40, $50. And they announce all this PR, and they basically make Mullen like a big deal, and everyone buys Mullins, and Mullins eventually goes to $1,000 share naturally because it does become the new Tesla. Because their batteries are better than everyone else's. Their cars look nice. Their sports cars are extremely luxurious. And yeah, there's really not much of a limit for Mullen opportunity. And they're like, this is what, like, they've been whispering about Joe Biden and the EVs and him rebuilding the country with electric vehicles. Well, it sounds like they're going to use Mullen as the main plot in that and say, like, Mullen's just a great company. And total, like, again, GME and AMC was the only, like, that they ignored, the only thing they ignored of that story was that retail owned the float and forced the price up. And so I definitely believe they'll do anything in their power to try to ignore that story again, but I just don't know how much power they have. I feel like they are the weakest. I feel like they have no opportunity. I did not roll any options. I hold my options to expiration every fucking time. Because I buy the cheapest options. I'm always buying 5-cent contracts so I can get the maximum number of contracts, and you can't cash those out. As soon as you buy them, they're gone if they don't fucking print. And so I know that going in, and I don't give a fuck. I'm all in, people. What up, what up, what up? Ah, man. So basically, what's going to happen on the order book is once retail finally buys the last dilution, maybe they'll use short interest for a day or two to keep the price down a little bit. Like they'll let it go up 100%, use some short interest, let it go up 100%, use some short interest, and then boom, 300, 400, 500% right in a row. But what's going to happen is that order book is going to have 0 shares available to sell. And that price is going to move up until they find shares to sell. So if everybody went and set limit orders at 350, we'd hit 350 and we'd never go above 350. But I know nobody's doing that. You might have some grade A artards doing that, but like they don't own the float. We own the float. We know why we're here. BBBY is garbage. Somebody just said, let's fucking go. BBBY is garbage and is one of the best story plots in this 4-month story and proof that Ryan Cohen is a piece of garbage. Back when BBBY was at $15, he announces that he bought $10 million of options he bought $10 million of options at $78 strike price, 400% gain to make profits. So retarded. I'm going to answer this phone call real quick. God Pills live chat, what's up?
God Pill, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to call myself X Factor.
Are you the X Factor for Tuesday, or do you already consider yourself the X Factor?
I'm all in, God Pill, and I just wanted to send a short message to the audience.
Go ahead.
Hey everybody, for the new people here that are just now following God Pill, please don't be swayed by the strong personality of God Pill. Read between the lines and you'll be fun. Everybody love you. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
See you, buddy.
Thank you. So, like, talk about the Jesus story real quick. He came 2,000 years ago, and he lived in a world of laws where one could not speak what they truly wanted to say. And so when the Pharisees and all these other rabbis tried to preach or question him, he had to answer in ways that did not break the law. But the beautiful story of the Bible is that 2,000 years go by, civilization changes, America is founded by God's army, and Jesus gets to come back, and he got no more rules to follow. Because he's a free man. And he get to say what he want, when he want, and ain't nobody can do nothing about it. And so I feel like I reach the people I'm after. Like, think about it. The Bible says he comes for the sinners. He comes for the poor. Like, I've lived with these people for the last decade of my life. They are my people. I would never have considered myself poor for at least a decade. But I pretend to be. And yeah, I'd rather reach out to those people than this sophisticated college nerd. Like, I know who my people are. Why are you blasting Salty Cracker on my live stream? Salty Cracker ain't got nothing on God Pill. Salty Cracker pretends to be the God Pill. But he never he never fights for anything that's of value. I liked him when I was like 20. I know he wasn't out when I was 20, but the point is, when I was immature and I thought Trump mattered and all that other bullcrap. Somebody said, can you explain how they can dilute 500 million shares since February and they only have 61 million in cash? So they definitely have more than 61 million in cash, or they spent a ton of money. I mean, if they, let's say they raised 200 million shares and they dropped 150 million on a Giga Texas. Like, Elon Musk did not build Giga Texas. A bunch of engineers did. And those same engineers or someone like them can give somebody else a Giga Texas too. And so they probably, like, we know that they upgraded to $1 million square foot warehouse that hasn't been built yet, but they probably just threw $100 million at it. And so that's good news. But on top of that, the first 300 million shares that were sold, only like 25% of that got us to that first 65 million that they announced they had back in April or whatever. And so the rest of it was this Todd Alt with Nile and all these other insiders. Like, they had all these fucking cashless exorized option or warrants, and they just pocketed that money, people. And so it kind of sucks that they just get to pocket that money and that they would do it at such a cheap price and that we didn't squeeze a lot sooner. But in the end, it makes this way, way better, and it makes this way more difficult for them, and it makes the price go way higher. So I'm for it. I was ready for this to happen the second after it started, but now, like, I'm all in because I know they got nothing left. The GME stuff happened all around the holidays. Like, holidays is oftentimes that they like to make the stock market go crazy. And it's not make it go crazy, but like drag it out until the last days so it can be on a holiday. I don't know why. Maybe people are on vacation, flying, traveling, all that good stuff. Less people on their phones. I don't know. But I'm so bullish for Tuesday. I'll tell you that. So I think I'm going to do this GME thing. GME, AMC, MULN, and show how 2 weeks of GME led to a squeeze and the price action mirrored 2 weeks of AMC, but then AMC had another week of a different volatility and then it squoze, and how MULN has had mirrored the 2 weeks of AMC, the 1 week of AMC, and had a whole nother week of just a massive 70% dip. And I think it's a perfect signal that the moon is on Tuesday, and that they push this to the very last second and that we own everything. But I think I'll do this like on my own because it's going to be a lot of just data entry and I won't be able to talk very much. So I'm going to do this on my own, and then I'll probably live stream tomorrow and go over the same stuff, or go over the data that I was able to collect. Basically adding up every Monday through Friday, changing percent by day by day by day, and showing that like the volatility we saw in GME 2 weeks before the squeeze matched the volatility of 2 weeks of AMC, but then AMC added another week of different volatility with another dip, and then it led to a squeeze. And then MULN did the same thing with the same thing as AMC on the third week with its own week of a full dip. And then again, we squeeze on Tuesday. So if you're here since the beginning, you might have been wondering about that. And I will go over that probably tomorrow. I do plan on going live on Tuesday. If for whatever reason, like during market hours, they keep kicking me off my YouTube, like again, every trade that I make is going to have at least an hour window to make that trade. So you won't, like, basically worst case scenario, I'll make a trade, I'll make a video, I'll post it on the video, I'll post a video on my YouTube. As long as you're checking my YouTube at least once an hour, you should have no problem following. And I just mean once an hour during the market live. And that's, again, only if they fuck with my ability to live stream. Somebody says, so why wouldn't the math say it's cheaper to pay short interest instead of letting all those options print? That's a great question. Let's see what I can do about this. So the question is, would they rather add short interest or would they rather let the options print? Oops. Okay, come on. It's been a long time since I was using my laptop. Alright. I don't know if I did that right. Come on, laptop. Oh, man. Alright. Stop freezing on me. I don't know how to find this information on Ameritrade, so I'm going to do it on E-Trade. So I'm just going to show you how to measure the damage options do versus short interest. Short interest is actually stronger than options as far as taking money from the machine, but that's why I don't think that they'll add a bunch of short interest, because they won't be able to get out of it. Holy moly, let's go, computer. Frick. Why the F are you on AMC right now? Ain't nobody care about AMC. Alrighty, here we go. So we're going to look at the July 15th open interest. And we're going to use this to decide. So we got basically 23,000 plus 20,000 is 43,000. Plus 15,000 is 58,000. Plus 18,000 is 76,000. Plus 13,000 is 89,000. Plus 10,000 is 99,000. So 100,000 plus 17,000 is 117,000. Plus another 12,000 is, or 13,000, no, we'll say 12,000. We're at 117,000, so 129,000. Plus another 10,000, 139,000. Plus another 13,000 would be 152,000. So we have 152,000 option contracts that expire in July. Now, right now we know the short interest is around 45 million shares. And right now we know that MULN is $1 a share. So if MULN $5, we'll start with $10 and then we'll do 20. And then we'll add one more line in here. Actually, we'll go down here and we'll say if 300 million shares short. So with MULN only at $1, it only take $200 million, $250 million to add the short interest to 300 million. I mean, $250 million of retail volume is nothing, especially if we're skyrocketing upwards. But let's see what they can do with it. So I'm going to put a 45 here and a 300 here. Okay. So with the options contract, we're going to assume, because there's a lot of $1 strikes, a lot of $5 strikes, and a lot of $10 strikes, we're going to assume at $10 that the average contract is in the money by $5, whether it's a $10 strike, a $1 strike, or a $5 strike. It's probably being a little bit conservative. And so if we assume that it's at $5, then $5 in the money, then we can take this, times that by 500 because of 100, so 5 times 100 because each option contract is worth 100 shares. And we would know that at $10, oh, that should have been here. Okay, so at $10, they would have lost $76 million. Now, at $10, times 10 minus if their average price is $1 for their shares minus the 45 million that they invested that they didn't lose. Okay. So we got 45 times, oh, that's why that should be 45 million. So if they have 45 million shares short and they don't close any of them until $10, so if we buy every single MULN share available and there are no more MULN shares available, and we know that because like our average price is $2, but most people that have been buying this dip were already in at $3 and $4, like we know that we didn't come in here for fucking nothing, right? So let's just say some people, 10-20% of people are going to sell at $10. And they can hold the price there and cover a lot of their shares. They can cover 45 million shares at $10. Well, that means on the way up to $10, they're going to lose $405 million. With the option contracts, all of the July option contracts, they only lost $76 million. So short interest hurts them way more than call option contracts hurt them. So for anyone trying to tell me they're going to load up on the short interest so that they don't have to pay the call options, like, you guys are just amateurs. Amateurs at its finest. And so if we do 300 million shares short, what would we get? We get 3 times that by $10, and then minus the 300, we'll just say $300 million that they would have short at $1 a share. $2.7 billion is what they would lose if they run the short interest of 300 million after running out of dilution and everyone holds till at least $10. And again, at $10, they've only lost $76 million in options profit loss. Like, that's how much they got to pay us in options. So any way you look at this, anyone telling you that they would rather add short interest than let options print, they don't know what they're talking about. All right, Wim Iglesias, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove your ban on Discord, but you need to send a comment to one of my YouTube videos, and I'll put a Discord link in there. But it can't be this one. Hope that answered that question about short interest. Somebody said, hey, what's up, Godpill? I'm super bullish for MULN. I've invested $25K into MULN, and I know it's a dilution war. But what would be the thing that they can use to stop the squeeze? I know it's a dumb question, but man, these people are capable of making everything to stop it. Thanks, Godpill. Looking forward to Tuesday. Well, I just explained the options versus the short interest. Short interest is the only thing that they could do to stop it, and that's not happening. Obviously, one thing they could do is turn off the whole market. Before we get paid, they could just shut it all down and say there is no more stock market. End of story. And everyone fall in line or we'll kill you. Like, if the government says that, like, we got to pivot. But you still should be following me. I'm the only one that can get an answer out of that, too. Somebody says, I'm only long, but that seems like the only thing that slows the squeeze. And he's talking about short position. And again, they could try to slow it, but would they rather pay $405 million in short interest at 45 million shares short going to $10, or would they rather pay $2.7 billion, all to save $76 million? Like, think about it, people. Now, if we go to 20, what would it be? It would equal this times average share would be $15 times that by 100. So if we go to 20, they would lose $228 million here if nobody sold before 20. And on the short interest, it would just be ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 times that by 20. And we'll just do times it by 19 so I don't got to minus the initial 45 million. So at $20, they lose $855 million if they only have 45 million shares short when it runs to 20, and then times that by 1900. Did I do that right? Is it 1900? Oh no, 19. That's my bad. They lose $5.7 billion at 300 million shares short, and it runs to 20. And it would definitely, if they got to buy 300 million shares back, it's definitely running to 20. If there's no dilution and all that good stuff, which there isn't. So there's no way, like, this is going to be, this $5.7 billion here would be a greater loss than all the option contracts combined. All the option contracts combined are barely going to hit 5, 6, 7, $800 million. And so, yeah, like, there's just no logical reason you would expect them to You would expect them to let this shit run before they use short interest as a defense, is all I'm saying. Alrighty, let me see this real quick. Alright, Termato, you have been unbanned. Don't let me down. Don't make me regret it. Let's see here. There's no put premium, Sammy Yummy. You're sounding stupid. There's literally less than 100,000 contracts on puts on Mullen right now. And if you add up the premium on it, I mean, average cost can't be more than $20 a contract. And so 100,000 times 100 is 10 million, times that by 20. No, it's not even that much. The 100,000 contracts just times 20 is $2 million. $2 million is not going to help the hedge funds. There's only $2 million active on the Mullen put option chain right now. And so if retail bought all $2 million of puts as a hedge, like, and the price runs up and the market makers collect selling all those puts, there's no money to make. There's $2 million. That's fucking 1% of what I just talked about. Not even 1%. Somebody said, so you think they are just shaking out as much small change as before they give up? Yes, I think this last week was the dip before the rip. This last week was definitely the dip before the rip, people. Any other brain busters out there? I'm here to answer questions, people. Like, if you're not 100% in Mullen right now with every dollar that you can afford to put in, like, you need to be asking questions to figure out why you should be. Because the answer is you definitely should be, and I can answer any question you got that might be giving you doubt. So either I got 72 people watching that are 100% in Mullen, and we're all just, like, kind of chilling and can't wait, or you guys are just not asking questions. Somebody says, so if I may ask, because I've never been in a big rip like this, how do you expect it to go down? Like, starting when and how much at a time? I start on Tuesday. Again, it will take another week. Who knows what's possible? But I do expect it to be on Tuesday. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I expect every day to open larger than the lowest price we've seen before. And Tuesday, I think we could see 200 to 1,000% gains. Like, they got to let this run before they find any sellers. And then once they find some sellers, like, they're still going to let it run, because the goal of this is not to slowly let it keep diluting into a dilution war. The goal of this for them is to let it go up enough that enough people sell all at once that they get full control over the stock again. And I'm going to try to stop that from happening. But I expect Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to be huge open days. I expect Friday to open green, even bigger than Thursday. And then I expect a massive crash on Friday, because that's when they can collect back $50 to $100 million out of the options by crashing at 30% right before close. And so that's when I'm going to own puts. But again, I'm looking for certain patterns in the stock price. Like, you guys got to understand, there has never been a stock setup as good as Mullen is right now. It is the greatest stock setup of all time. It has everything AMC had. It has everything GME had. It has 10 times less investors. So, like, AMC had 4 million investors before it rose from $12 to $72. So, like, of those 4 million people, you better believe a lot of people are willing to take profits. But Mullen, if we're lucky, we got 400,000. I mean, if we're unlucky, we got 400,000 investors. I bet we got under 100,000 investors. And that just like those 100,000 people that are invested, they've heard what's true. They're invested for a reason, and they believe in this company. And so I believe that they will hold better than AMC or GMEers ever held, because those people are just chasing a stock squeeze, where a lot of people are either chasing what they know to be the best stock squeeze because we're diluted at the smallest market cap. So anyone that does sell early, we know the FOMO is going to be way bigger than that anyway, so we're still going up after people even start selling. And on top of that, a lot of people actually believe in the company, and they believe that this could be $1,000 a share company in 5 years. And so a lot of them are going to, like, if they do take profits, it's not going to be their entire position. And so I love that we have less investors. I love that it's at a smaller market cap. Like, everything about MULN is the perfect scenario. And yeah, you should be all in. Guaranteed. All right, let's see. Somebody says, is dark pool going to be an issue? Absolutely not. Dark pool is no issue. Dark pool is how they use dilution and control the price without us being able to do anything about it until we own every share. But once we own every share, nothing they can do. Side issue. Georgia Rep. Marjorie Greene calls for a committee to investigate Ghislaine Maxwell client list. Also, UFC fighter after the UFC 276 victory, Israel D., called her out to do good things. Good things happening. Hardly. If you're expecting your government to save you, you are fucking not thinking. They just put out these little things to get you talking, get you thinking about what doesn't matter. Everything right now is to distract from MULN. All that AMC, Minion Grew, people taking pictures of themselves in suits. That shit's not real. That's manufactured. I mean, there might have been people that followed the chain, but that shit didn't start genuine. I do not own puts. If you own puts right now, you're retarded. You don't buy puts until we hit 20. Eventually, MULN will have to raise capital Eventually, MULN will have to raise capital. How, what, when would be good for long-term success? I know squeeze is short-term success. MULN's not going to be able to raise any capital because we're voting no on dilution. And so MULN was started by David Mickery with his own funds, and he's going to have to finish it that way. So after he exercises his warrants, he'll have roughly 25 million shares. And when he has those 25 million shares and we're at $20, $30, $40 a share, like, he's going to have to take his $1 billion from there because we're not giving it to him. God Bill, I'm 100% in. I literally only have $100 left in my bank account. Do you think this is a wise decision? Yes, of course. You should take a loan and buy more. I'll cash half of my October call options at 20, one quarter at 30, and I'll hold the last quarter as high as it can go. Nothing wrong with that. Will MULN trigger over-shorted stocks to squeeze, and why don't Revlon trigger other stocks to squeeze, please, and thank you. So when MULN runs, there will be other stocks running. Not a lot. They're not going to run super high, but they will run, and it's just to distract from us and try to steal from our FOMO, but it's not going to work. So if you invest in any stock but MULN, you're mentally handicapped. There's been probably 20 or 30 short squeezes that have happened since the last 4 months on 20 or 30 different stocks, Revlon being one of those. All those other squeezes were fake squeezes. They were pump and dumps by the market makers trying to get people to sell their MULN for another play. And so every other stock but MULN is a fucking joke. MULN is the only company owned by retail. And we're nearing 100%, I promise. I appreciate you, Annie. You a real one, I know. Caleb Collins says, GP over here doing the Lord's work. Yes, sir. let's not forget, nobody's more bullish on Mullen than I am. Not one account in the whole world has more option contracts than this account right here. I'll bet money on it. 20,000 contracts. There was supposedly one day where somebody bought 40,000 contracts in October, maybe a couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. But I'm willing to bet that was market makers and a bunch of people followed into those option contracts and they just gave them back to retail. So they bought them from themselves and then they diluted them to retail. And that was to get people to buy October option contracts rather than buy July or August or September. I don't know if there's September chains yet, but I know there's August and July. And so I personally believe that they just did that so people be like, oh, if somebody's throwing in $3 million on this, I guess I should throw in a bunch of money. And so I personally believe, even though somebody supposedly bought 40,000 contracts, I don't believe that happened. And I believe this is the largest account of all option contracts on Mullen out of anywhere on the whole world. No one owns more call option contracts than this account. Half of these were bought last trading week. Some on Friday, some on Thursday, some on Wednesday, some on Tuesday, all when money was clearing and more people are sending us money. And we are about to take this money to the moon. I will definitely be trying to live during the market opens. I just can't promise you it's going to happen because last time I tried to live stream during market open, I got kicked off twice. And so hopefully I don't get kicked off next time. But if I do, then I'll make an update video every time that I make a trade. And you guys can follow along that way. I also, like after we hit 20, well, I wouldn't even say 20 because it could be much more than 20. But after we run up and I see the pattern to bet the short, I'm probably going to be headed to vacation very soon. And so I'll probably after the first run up of the squeeze all the way to the first put bet, I'll be live streaming. But after that, most trades are going to have plenty of time to make the trades. It may even take a couple of days for the trade to completely work out. And so I'll just be going back to making videos on my cell phone, and I won't be live streaming probably the second, third week of the squeeze. But I will still be telling you guys all my trades and showing you that I'm buying more and more stock in Mullen every single day. Somebody says, why do you think they won't drag this out until the end of July? They got another couple billion shares to start over. That's a stupid fucking question. They don't have a couple billion shares. They have 0 shares. On July 26th, they get to vote for a couple billion shares, which they will not get. Retail votes no on dilution every time. Retail voted no on dilution AMC before the squeeze for 500 million shares. Retail voted no on dilution after the $72 squeeze for 25 million shares. Retail votes no on dilution every time. So anyone talking about the dilution vote, it's a no already. It's guaranteed. Don't be retarded. It's not a good question. Anyone talking about dilution is just not thinking. You should be way past that. They only offer those 2 billion shares of dilution 4 times the amount of currently that they started their company with to scare people away. And only idiots were scared away. What up, Sean? Good to see you, brother. We all wait impatiently for the squeeze. I'm impatiently waiting. Pounding the table constantly. Calling out the shills. Calling out the liars. Somebody says, if the market was to pull back 10 to 20%, would this delay the squeeze? Worst case scenario, of course. No, the market will pull back 10 to 20%, and it's pulling back because we're squeezing. That's how it happens. If you go look at the GME squeeze, market crash. You go look at the AMC squeeze, they freaking controlled it so well, but they crashed the crypto to pay for the AMC. If you go look at the dates of the crypto crash in May 2021 and the AMC squeeze May 2021, like nothing went higher and nothing went lower than crypto and AMC. And AMC went high. And so we're definitely squeezing. We're definitely crashing the market another 10 to 20%. And it's definitely it's a sign of the squeeze. So I welcome the crash because our negative beta got to kick in. And negative beta means when we go down, they go up. When we go up, they go down. Doesn't happen every day, but if you look at long-term trends, it's very consistent with MULN over the last 4 months. Very nice, Luis Berger. What else? Any other questions? Fourth of July. My girl used to work at Disney World back when she was like 19 to 21, and she had a roommate there for a couple of years, and that roommate just bought a house out in Florida, so she's spending 4th of July week in Florida with a friend who's happening to have twins in December, and my girl was born in December, so she's excited about that. But yeah, I just got time on my hands, people. I got no friends. I don't hang out with nobody. So I figured since my girl is gone, I'll just hang out with you. What am the first thing I'm buying with my gains? I don't want to buy much. I'm going on like probably a 30-day vacation, probably 5 different hotels, all the finest food. I'll probably drop $50,000 to $100,000 on this 30-day vacation, tipping like crazy. And then I'm thinking I'm going to rent a nice house I'm expecting housing prices to drop. And so I'm thinking I'd just rent a nice house for a couple months and then buy the perfect house I'm never going to leave. Hopefully for $5-10 million. Hopefully on Paradise Valley Mountain, the very, very tippy top. I don't know yet. We'll see what I do. I use Ameritrade and E-Trade, but they all suck. They'll all steal the buy button if it's the plan. I don't think that's going to happen again, but if it does, we're going up past wherever we hit, like the buy button stopping. Like this time, if they take the buy button away again, retail's going to revolt. Yep, Kirby Jod K, that's basically right. If you follow that plan, you will do very well. Again, whatever I actually do, like I'm going to end up doing, like I can't really predict the future of what I'm going to actually do, but that is about what my plan is. I think Tuesday we start to squeeze. We can go from $1 to $12 on Tuesday. But I'm hoping it goes to $3.50 so I can move all my options to $10 strikes before it breaks $10. And so hopefully Tuesday morning we open up at $2. Hopefully an hour in we hit $3, $3.50, and then it gives me a couple hours around that price before we run to 10. That's what I'm hoping for. They don't have a choice. The price is going up before dilution. Dilution was never meant to happen. It was a scare tactic. We are squeezing before dilution vote. They will not be able to dilute the squeeze. Whatever we squeeze to, like retail made it happen. End of story. It's happening. Stop talking about the stupid dilution vote. It's not fucking happening. And we squeeze well before them. Have a good night. Enjoy the holiday weekend. No better time for America to be reborn than on July 4th weekend. No idea who Mickery gifted his shares to, but right before the AMC squeeze, the AMC CEO gifted 500,000 shares to each of his sons. So, like, again, it happened right before the squeeze. It's good news. Nothing to worry about. Do I have a favorite Bible verse or story? I got a lot. My personal favorite Bible verse, like this is something that I read a couple years ago, and it let me know that I was on the right track and that I got to keep saying I'm Jesus and I got to fulfill the promise. And I'm going to read it to you guys real quick. So it's in the New Testament. It's in the book of Jude, which is only one chapter. And to me, it was basically a message left for me. And it is on verse 11. So Jude 1, verse 11, and it says, "Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Kor." So it is my opinion that my brother stole from me and has made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of it. And it is the greatest retirement plan that exists on the planet. And it's all about keeping a healthy market and holding the market makers accountable and using call options on an annual basis in the S&P 500 to force the market makers to give us a free and fair market. And my brother is, again, so it says they've gone in the way of Cain, so brother betrayal, ran greedily after the error of Balaam. Balaam is just a machine, and money, the stock market, is their error that leaves them helpless to retail, if retail is intelligent, for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Kor. And my brother's company name is Suncor Financial. And so, like that verse right there, this chapter, speaking to Jesus, telling people that Jesus is the way, is the life. And in this chapter, basically, I don't think any verse in any Bible has ever hit somebody so personally as that chapter, that verse has in my life. I'll show you guys some of my favorite songs. Let's listen to some good songs. Some of them are like the children primary songs I used to sing, and then some of them are like the church hymns that we sing during regular church. This is a good one. Oops. Hold on. I can't keep up with the typing on this song. It's a fast one. Hopefully you can understand it.
listened when they saw the rain. Abraham the prophet prayed to have a son, so the Lord sent Isaac as the chosen one. Isaac begat Jacob, known as Israel. Jacob's sons were 12 tribes, so the Bible tells. Moses was a prophet sent to Israel. He would lead them to the promised land to dwell. They were slow to follow, or slow at hands. They were in the wilderness for 40 years. Samuel was a prophet, chosen as a boy, and the promised daughter, son would serve with joy. In the tabernacle, Samuel heard his name. He was called by God and answered, "Here I am." Jonah was a prophet, tried to run away, but he later learned to listen and obey. When we really try, the Lord won't let us fail. That's what Jonah learned deep down inside the whale. Daniel was a prophet, he refused to sin. So the king threw Daniel in the lion's den. Angels calmed the lions, and the king soon saw Daniel's prayer was great, for he obeyed God's law. Now we have a world where people are confused. If you don't believe it, go and watch the news. We can get direction all along our way. If we heed the prophets, follow what they say.
And then, so like, I was raised Mormon. We got the Bible and the Book of Mormon. Book of Mormon got just as good as stories. So let's listen to these stories real quick. And then we might talk some more Mullen.
Mormon stories that my teacher tells to me are about the Lamanites in ancient history. Long ago their fathers came from far across the sea. In the land if they lived righteously. Lamanites met others who were seeking liberty. And the land soon welcomed all who wanted to be free. Book of Mormon stories say that we must brothers be. In the land if we live righteously. Who was rebellious and he fought against the right. Then one day an angel came to turn into the light. Struck him for his brethren, Alma learned humility. Then he taught me the land righteously. Don't forget Abinadi who stood before the king. All chained up from head to toe, the gospel he did bring. If he would deny it, then the king would set him free. He was true and he died righteously. He was a missionary serving Lamanites, tending King Rammonite sheep for several days and nights. In his name he saved the sheep by fighting fearlessly. He had learned he could live righteously. 1,000 sons of God were called to fight the foe. Marching as an army into battle they did go. They believed that Christ the Lord their guardian would be. They had learned they should live righteously. Came a night high on the city wall, came to warn the people, and repentance was his call. Arrows could not hit him, for a man of God was he, and he taught in the land righteously. After Christ was crucified and died for you and me, he came forth to teach the truth to all who would be free. Hands were laid upon each child, he blessed them tenderly, and they lived in the land righteously. Those are definitely my two favorite primary songs. There's no question about it. Like, you guys gotta know, I listen to this stuff as much as I listen to any other music on the world. But I do listen to, I like Revolution. I like the uplifting stuff. I like some of the, go hard fight stuff too. Oh, people. Everybody all over 4th of July, and we're still on July 3rd. Calm down. I gotta go find somewhere to watch fireworks tomorrow. I saw something about a news article saying that the entertainment's not worth the harm that fireworks might be causing, and talking about animals and people with PTSD and stuff like that. And it's like, bro, don't take my 4th of July. I love my fireworks. Time to celebrate and party. Like, if you guys haven't downloaded the LDS app, you really should. If you go to the hymn book, there's so many good songs. And it's as good as any scriptures you'll ever read. Somebody says, hey, I have a question. Is it possible that David just puts on a ton of news on Tuesday? Totally possible. Not as a strategy. I mean, as a strategy to help market makers in the system. If we squeeze on Tuesday like I think we're going to, then yes, we're going to get all the news. When Mullen goes from $1 to $10 in 1 or 2 days, we're going to get all the news that Mullen's been holding back. And they're going to say, this is why Mullen's so great. This is why I went from $1 to $10. Ignore that retail owns the fucking float. That's what's happening. So you can absolutely expect the news to come when we start to squeeze. But if you think the news is what's driving the squeeze or anything like that, must not been watching the God Pill. Must not know shit. All depends how quickly the interview comes. If he interviews on the first day, you definitely don't sell then. We're going up for 3 or 4 days straight, no question. And I'm talking tens or thousands of percent gain. Oh, what's a good song?
Like, if you guys look, the Bible is all about liberty and freedom and setting people free to be their best people. It's exactly what America is about. That's why America was founded on God, because it was about the individual having the right to be whoever it is they want to be, which is giving the power of dominion to God and not to the people and not to the government. It's all one and the same story. And then one day Jesus comes back to America in the land of the free and has just enough fucking freedom to beat these fools. But he doesn't come to freaking show the way of love and the world that will create America. That was the first time he came 2,000 years ago. He comes back to freaking win. The prophecy is he comes back to win. And his tongue is his sword, and he slays the demons, and he grants power and dominion to all the people that believe in his name. That's the prophecy. And those people, if you read the book of Revelations, the people that believe in Christ and spread the word will have power over the haters and the mockers, as if you were a scorpion. And every time they say some stupid shit, you sting them. What up, Angie? Yeah, I mean, this censorship online, the fact that I'm banned from places and they say I should not, like, they're basically saying I shouldn't be able to exist. Like, most people get banned because, like, I definitely not been making threats worthy of being banned. And if it's not that, then people get banned for being, like, fake and lying and causing problems. But, like, I'm the realest motherfucker out here. Ain't nobody put them out for the world like I have. But I figure as long as I got my YouTube, I won't complain too hard. Last video at 2,600 views. Last month I got 10,000 new viewers. Not too shabby. All right, any Mullen questions? I might go enjoy the rest of my day and come back tomorrow. Any final questions? Twitter is garbage. Like, when they talk about bots on Twitter, those are the people that come in and comment with stupid links for you to click on and try to steal your money and stuff. But what they don't talk about on Twitter is how many accounts are being paid by Twitter and or company to fucking control a narrative. Those are the real bots. Those are the people that are freaking getting paid to push stuff they know is false. That's so illegal. I'm not saying it'll be next week. I'm saying it'll be Tuesday, but like, I've been wrong before, and so if it doesn't happen on Tuesday or this week, then it's definitely happened next week. Because all the signs, again, GME had a 2-week volatility where if you add up all the high percentages of each day and all the low percentages, it was like 200% positives and 100% or maybe 80% negatives. And then in AMC, it repeated that same cycle. And then the week after, it had a new cycle, and then it squoze. And Mullen has repeated the GME 2-week cycle, has repeated the AMC 1-week cycle, and has created its own new 4th-week cycle of just a massive dip. So that tells me we're about to rip. Oh, my people. Well, it seems like I've answered all the questions. So we'll let this video go. Probably get 1,000 views for tomorrow. And then I will try to come back tomorrow. And I should definitely be here Tuesday. My sleep schedule's a little effed up, so I've been waking up, or I've been going to bed late and waking up late. And so Tuesday I might not make it right at live open, but I'll be there soon. I mean, if a live open, we're open at 0%, I'll probably close my eyes. If I open them an hour later and we're up 100%, like I'll definitely jump on live stream. But we'll see what happens. I'm not going to rush it. I'm just here when I need to be. Have a good night, people.